A few years ago, after the pandemic, I had just came back from Afghanistan. The PS5 had just came out, and I was excited to get some hardware that would keep up with it. I had did some research and I came across LG's C1 OLED TV. So I want to talk about if it still holds its ground, even years after its release. The LG C1 is a 4K OLED panel with an HDMI 2.1 port, which means 120Hz gaming at full resolution with VRR, G-Sync, and auto low latency mode. It's specifically built for next-gen gaming. With it being 4K 120Hz, that means it has a low latency lag. It has perfect blacks and infinite contrast thanks to the OLED. Very refresh rate for tear-free gameplay, Dolby Vision gameplay up to 120Hz, NVIDIA G-Sync and AMD FreeSync, a game optimizer mode, we'll come back to that later, and eARC support for high-end audio pass-through. So when you pair that with PS5 Pro's upgraded visuals, higher frame rates, and better ray tracing, you're looking at an experience that feels cinematic and incredibly responsive. There's an incredible amount of games that are PS5 Pro enhanced, so if you go down to the list you can find what you need. But first off, I'm going to talk about Astro Bot. Now YouTube's video compression might not do this video justice, but I'm going to do my best to explain how it feels, show what it looks like to the best of my ability, and explain whether or not the C1 OLED TV still holds up in 2025. Astro Bot is where OLED shines, literally. The HDR pops off the screen, every color is vibrant, and the dark sections of the levels feel alive thanks to those deep OLED blacks. And on the PS5 Pro, it runs silky smooth at 60 frames per second with enhanced ray trace reflections that look unreal. Paired with LG C1 response time, the platformer feels insanely responsive. Gran Turismo 7 is where the realism kicks into overdrive, with LG C1 OLED pixel level lighting, where night races and weather effects are jaw-dropping. The PS5 pushes it even further, higher resolution, better shadows, with PSSR and 120 frames per second. God of War Ragnarök, one of my personal favorites, and I platinumed this by the way. In God of War Ragnarök, the C1's contrast handling really shines. Kratos' world is brutal, cinematic, and moody, perfect for an OLED experience. With the PS5 Pro, you're getting smoother combat, better detail in Kratos' armor, and the environment is less stuttery thanks to VRR, and it has PSSR. This is a masterclass in how visuals and gameplay blend together. Check out how intense and cinematic this PS5 Pro experience feels.
Hungry? What's next?
Next up, Fortnite. Fortnite looks incredibly good on OLED. With the PS5 Pro enhancing visuals, you can now run competitive gaming settings with rich textures and the same color fidelity. On LG C1, the 1 millisecond response time and 120Hz refresh rate give you a razor-sharp edge in a competitive landscape. Now it's time to talk about Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadow. It was built for immersion. Thanks to the OLED's ability to display deeper blacks without crushing black levels, stealth gameplay looks incredible, even at night. And with the PS5 Pro added rendering power with the PSSR, frame rate pacing is tighter and the world feels much more cohesive. Now for my sports fans, Madden 25 feels like a live broadcast on the LG C1. When you sit back on the couch, you see that grass texture, the lighting changes, the player detail, the reflection off the helmets. It's almost surreal when you see it up close in person. With the PS5 Pro, the new animation systems are smoother and the crowd detail feels much more alive. And the C1's OLED clarity captures it all without motion blur. Let's check out some of this gameplay. And shout out to all my Baltimore Ravens fans out there. We need Lamar to win the Super Bowl this year.
But because of their legs, you never know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, when the play breaks down, I think that's where the real fun begins. I mean, it is just so hard. You mentioned it. These defensive coordinators, they spend all week, and every time the ball is snapped, you really have to defend two plays. And what I mean is, you defend the initial play that is called by the offense in the huddle, and then you also have to defend the scramble play, the breakdown, the improv. That's what makes these quarterbacks so dangerous, and it just takes one breakdown defensively for a big play, and it's 6.
Nice job on the return.
We can't talk about PlayStation without talking about Spider-Man. And for this display, I'm using Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is one of those games that's made for the OLED. With the C1's perfect blacks, swinging through the rainy nights in New York City is stunning. The PS5 Pro enhances ray tracing, so window reflections in the world, off cars, even rain puddles feel better. And with Pro Mode enabled and PSSR, traversal feels much more fluid than ever. Check out how alive this world feels in a harsh New York City winter.
Permiso, Spider-Man coming through.
Next up, one of my personal favorites, Call of Duty Warzone. If you play Warzone competitively like I do, the LG C1 gives you every advantage possible. Low latency, lightning fast response time, and the ability to spot enemies in dark corners thanks to the OLED contrast. And if you pair that up with PS5's DualSense Edge Pro controller, you get even more of an advantage. The PS5 Pro pushes draw distance and particle effects without sacrificing frame rate. That way, you can enjoy the best Call of Duty Warzone experience that you possibly can. Just look how beautiful that looks. As I mentioned earlier, LG has a game optimizer mode, so as soon as you plug in your PS5 or whatever console you have, the TV immediately recognizes it and puts it in game mode. It gives you real-time FPS stats, stabilizes your blacks, turns on low latency mode and VRR. That way, you get every advantage that you possibly can when you're playing competitive games. And you can open the optimizer menu and change some things around if you need to. It has built-in preset modes for first-person shooters, RPGs, and even standard mode. Lastly, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves. Now this game, I actually streamed it straight from PlayStation Network service. This is not downloaded to my console at all. So I just wanted to put this in here just to show you what it could look like if you stream games and not just playing it straight off the hardware. Now to me, looking at it up close on my TV, it didn't look bad at all. I was actually pretty impressed with how well it looked and how well it performed, especially during night. The OLED handled the blacks perfectly and the reflections and ray tracing handled very well also. Let's check out some of this gameplay.
Come on, this way.
You realize we're moving away from a soft stand?
Yeah, we're taking the long way.
Now I see why you're always late.
Little side note, I didn't know you could just take the shortcut like she did. I completely made myself look like a fool. Anyways, if you liked this video, enjoyed it, or even found it helpful at all, please leave a like, comment, share with a friend, and even consider subscribing. And I'll catch you in the next one.